Welcome back to another Wisdom Wednesday discussion. I am Nspired, your guide, generating, uplifting, inspiring, developing, and empowering you to live inspired every day, forever, because that's life. And today, week 4, we're talking about integration, sovereign integration, and walking the aligned path. How do we get aligned? We get on that path and we begin to walk it out. So, as always, let's begin with an affirmation. Let us affirm that I walk a path where mind, body, and spirit converge, sovereign and whole, honoring every part of my being. The intent is to reunite our scattered selves into one integrated force of divine authority, sovereignty, taking root, becoming sustainable. Sustainability, the outcome, unbreakable, unshakable, you. Your inner cohesion, your life becomes reflection of inner truth. Peace and fulfillment naturally flow. Peace, purpose, and fulfillment naturally flowing. As it should, as it was, as it shall be. So we want to open by talking about how we're moving from our scattered to our sovereign. We were scattered, now we're sovereign. The final step is the first truth. So we're stepping out of that into this renewal. And so to begin, we're going to start with a quote. And this quote comes from Deepak Chopra. To be whole is to live in harmony with yourself. Your outer journey is only as aligned as your inner. That is an inspired quote. Your outer journey, our outside experience, our life that we see and experience every day is only as aligned as our internal one. And so if we're not aligned internally, we are going to see that disalignment outside, externally, in our every waking moment. And so being fractured, scattering our seeds on shallow soil, that's what we're moving from. We are fracturing that. We're no longer scattering our seeds on shallow soil. Instead, our sovereign integration prepares the fertile ground for the holy harvest, for our life, where we are living inspired every day, forever. For just as seeds flourish only in prepared earth, your wholeness requires sovereign soil. So just as those seeds only flourish in the right soil, your life is only going to flourish when you are whole, not scattered, not everywhere, trying to do everything at once, but reunited. And it feels so good. And so as we move into the key message that we're discussing is about the integration of our sovereign selves as wholeness embodied. So we begin to embody this. This is who we are now. We are no longer scattered. That's what we were. That's yesterday. Can't do nothing about that. We're not worried about that. That is the past. We have moved past that. And presently, we are now embodying our wholeness. So the life principle that we have to back this up is integration is not the end. It's not the end of growth. It is the beginning. We just said that the last step is our first truth. The last step, that final step that we just left behind, begins the first truth that we are going to live our life by, who we are now. So this integration is not the end of growth. It's only the beginning. And this holy act is becoming whole through sacred harmony. The most beautiful music has harmony. Our life, when it is harmonious, that's when it is most beautiful. And so our mind, our body, and our spirit must no longer be in conflict. They say fight or flight, or now we're taking flight. We're no longer going to fight, we're going to fly. So our mind, our body, and our spirit are now co-creating purpose. We're on that purposeful journey of being who we were meant to be, living the life we were meant to live by giving the effort we are meant to give. And the spiritual anchor that we have to back this up comes from Matthew chapter 13, verses 3 through 9, the parable of the sower. And it says, "Behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched. And because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell amongst thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Who hath ears to hear, let them hear." So it tells us, behold, a sower went forth to sow. And some of the seeds, they fell in stony ground. Some of the seeds fell by the wayside, yet some of those seeds fell on good ground. And the seeds that fell on good ground, they bore fruit. And the fruit that they bore, some of them was 100-fold, some was 60-fold, some were 30-fold. And then we're told, let those who have ears to hear, let them hear. So we're always told, yet the question is, do we hear? Are we listening? Because we're speaking about fragmentation and integration. Being fragmented, being on stony or thorny ground, being distracted, being in fear, performing, or are we integrating where we are on good ground, where we are ready to receive, to nurture, and to bear fruit? We can look around our life and apply this message and say, well, am I bearing fruit right now? Or am I on that stony ground? Am I distracted? Am I in fear? Am I just performing? And if I am, can I hear? For those who have ears to hear, let them hear. And what we should be hearing is the message for ourselves. That those seeds that fell on rocky ground, those are the times where we may hear the word and we receive it with joy and we jump up and we are motivated. We know that that only lasts a short time. That motivation comes and it goes. And normally when that motivation goes is when the trouble or the persecution comes. When the sun, in this story, in this parable, when it said, and when the sun was up, they were scorched. And because they had no roots, they withered away. So when that trouble or that persecution comes, we quickly fall away. We've seen this time and time again. Those who are out and they're talking and they're telling us, and they got all this energy, the motivation, do this, then trouble happens and they wither away, they're gone. We've seen this in our own personal life where we have let our soul or our soil grow rocky. I've done it. I know I done it. When times when I would prioritize others over myself, times when I was prioritizing the hustle over rest. Every day I'm hustling, yet I should have been resting. I know that I did it when I was extending myself past my limits, overextending myself, what we say, bending over backwards for people, instead of respecting my limits as boundaries that I shouldn't have crossed. Because when I overextended myself, I knew better. Because I said, see, I knew I shouldn't have did that. I done did all of this and went so far for this person and did this for that person and nothing was in return. That was letting my soil growing rocky grounds. That's when my soul was rocky. To me, the soil is our soul. And my seed was planted in that rocky ground. It wasn't in me, it was in them. And so I was doing all of this for them. And then I had nothing to show for it. There was no fruit that bared from that. Soon as some trouble happened, pew, they were gone. So was I, left with nothing but excuses. Why this happened, why that happened, why I shouldn't have did this, why I shouldn't have did that. Because I pushed past my limits. I was overextending myself. And as I'm saying this, the song is coming to my head because these lyrics from this song is coming to my head because it says, push it to the limit. And for others, they might take that as pushing it past the limit. But those words for me say, push it to the limit. Don't go past it. Go to the limit. And yet I was pushing past it. I wanted to hustle every single day because I felt that that's what I needed to do. Keep going, just overdoing it. I wanted to prioritize other people over myself, which caused me to hustle every day, which caused me to overextend myself and go past my limits. Because if you don't go past your limits for somebody else, then, oh, you don't love me, or you're selfish. You're not doing this for. Every time I looked outside of myself, that's what caused me to run someone else's race and be fatigued at the end of the day. But then I got to still get up and keep going. And that was my norm. And it shouldn't have been. I don't even know where I got that from because it didn't come from within. And so I was fragmented. We have been fragmented. We are on stony ground. We're distracted. We're fearful. We're performing for others when we should be directing and producing our life. So that is integrating, being on good ground, being ready to receive, nurturing ourselves so that we can nurture someone or something else and bearing that fruit to show for it. Because if I'm fragmented and I'm distracted and I'm fearful, then I'm not ready to receive, I'm not nurturing, and I have no fruit to bear. And the moment you have no fruit to bear, guess what happens? They're going to go somewhere else. So you're doing all of that to end up with no harvest at the end of the day. There's an Igbo proverb that backs this up where it says, a farmer who tills not his soil blames the seed. So the whole time I wasn't tilling my soil, I'm doing for them. Then when there's no harvest, I'm blaming, oh, see, this is the reason why. It's this, it's that. It's me. I had no business going over to your farm to till your soil when I had my own soil to till. I had my own seeds to plant. So it's not the seed's fault. And we can back that up with the Yoruba proverb, with the Yoruba wisdom that says, when the soil is ready, the seed laughs. When the soil is ready, the seed laughs. Laughter, joy. When the soil is ready, the seed is going to produce. So it's not the seed's fault. What soil are you planting in? Yet we continue to blame the seed. Your seed fell by the wayside and it was gobbled up. Your seed you planted in rocky soil and yep, it sprung up, boom. You were motivated, you were ready to go, and then turmoil happened and all of a sudden you back down again. This is why we say to be inspired. To never stop prospering, it requires effort daily. That is good soil. This is not something that you're motivated by to get you rah, 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 and then you hit a wall and you don't know what to do. Inspiration can produce motivation, but motivation does not inspire you. And we want the higher, not the lesser. So to be inspired, we can be motivated and also reminded, hey, I got to do this. So yes, we still jump for joy. We still are excited, yet we understand. Not the time for that. I know what to do. I plant this in that fertile soil, the good soil. Or again, a farmer who tills not his soil blames the seed. And now you're looking over there saying, well, if I just had better seeds, I would just. Meanwhile, there's farmers who have tilled their soil and made the soil good. You went out and bought all the top products and you're doing all these things that all the gurus are telling you to do, and the results ain't there. It was never about any of that to begin with. It's not about all the fancy cars and clothes and all of that you have, the lighting that people say why your content ain't growing because you're using the front camera. It don't matter if you're using the front camera, the back camera, you turn the camera on the side. All of that is performance. All of that is a distraction. All of that is based in fear because what you should be doing is paying attention intently to your intuition. And you realize I didn't need to do any of that. How is the soil that I am attempting to plant this seed in? Am I fragmented, which means I am on stony, thorny ground? Figure that out first. Don't try to change your camera and change the way you're speaking and wear better clothes and do all of that. No. Figure out where you are first. Because again, you're doing all of that, but if the soil ain't right, guess what's gonna happen? When the sun come out and it hits you, you're gonna wither away. Meaning when that trouble or that persecution comes, when they try to test you and say, you're not saying the truth, you're not this person, you're not that, are you going to disappear and quickly fall away, or are you gonna stand up? Because you know that what you're saying, what you're doing is your purpose. And if it's your purpose, you are going to have passion around it. Yet to be passionate about something that ain't your purpose is how we get, what is it called? People who faking it. They're imitating. You don't feel like what you're doing is authentic. So the first time you have a hater or a troll, you done. The first time somebody disagrees, they won. The first time you suffer a loss, you quit. Yet when you are integrated and you are on good ground and in good soil, you ready to receive whatever they got to say. You, ooh, that's good. It's not going to deter me or disturb me. I am shaken. I may be shaken, but I'm not deterred. I'm not switching up, going somewhere. No, this is what is supposed to happen. These are the trials and tribulations that are going to make me, not break me. And I don't truly believe in that. When I'm not invested, when I am ye of little faith, it's going to be easy to knock me off course. It's going to be easy to get me out of the way. It's going to be easy for me to wither. They just apply a little pressure. That's it. And it's an actual term that's coming to my mind. It's going to come to me. I've heard it so many times from other creators or people who want to create, because one of the biggest things is everybody wants a podcast. Yet the thing that they fear is someone calling them out. So they don't want to do it. They're distracted by what everybody else is doing, or they're trying to perform in the way that everybody else is performing. So now anybody can come and say, that's not true. You're lying. And now you got to go search for facts and fact check yourself. When you're standing on that solid ground, you withstand that. Not every storm, or I'll say it like this. There are trees that withstand the storm because they're deeply rooted. And there are some that as soon as the wind blows, they're out of here. We are here to have our roots deeply rooted and ingrained within ourselves, not outside. We are in, not of. We are told to establish dominion and be fruitful. How can we be fruitful if we can't establish roots? Because we're on rocky soil, stony ground. Because some of our seeds are falling by the wayside. So other people are picking them up, our ideas. They're picking them up and they're taking them away. And we say, but that's it's not yours. You didn't have the barriers, the boundaries. And so we always talk about practicing, not preaching, but doing what we say and saying what we do. And so we want to take that leap into that sovereign soil. We're the seed. We want to take the leap into the sovereign soil. We want to activate ourselves. We want to be clear. So we're going to establish clarity through our sovereign reflection with our LEAP protocol. Remember, our LEAP protocol stands for locate, engage, anchor, and propel us to live, which is to listen, invite, verify, and express. And so what we are going to locate with this protocol that is around establishing our sovereign soil, we're going to locate where I feel disconnected around blank. What is it that you feel a disconnection around. Maybe it's your purpose. Maybe it's your belief. That's for you to answer. And how you answer that is you locate it. I feel disconnection around, and then I listen to where I feel misaligned. We locate and we listen. Then we engage. This challenge is developing my intuition, your resilience, your confidence, whatever it is for you. This challenge is developing and you invite growth over resistance. So when you're saying this challenge is developing, you invite that growth. You don't resist it. Oh, no, that's not it. Oh, no. You invite it in so that you can grow from that. And we anchor by putting our hands on our chest. Why? Because you put your hand on your chest and you pledge allegiance. You put your hand on your chest and you vow. You put your hand on your chest and you swear. So now you put your hand to your heart and you anchor in alignment. I anchor in alignment. And you verify with truth in your body. You verify this truth with your body. You're not feeling anxious, you're feeling calm, feeling assured. This is not something that you feel fearful on. This is not something that you're anxious and you're shaking because you're confused about. You verify that truth, you know it. And so we propel today. I take a step by, this is an action. When you say today, I take a step by, now you're expressing through integrated action. What are you doing? I take a step by I take a step by believing in myself, by not being fearful. I take a step by physically getting up and going to do whatever it is that you need to do. So you locate, I feel disconnection around. I listen to where I'm misaligned. I engage that by stating that this challenge is developing I invite growth over resistance. So I'm not resisting. I'm inviting this in so that I grow from it. I anchor by putting my hands on my heart and I anchor in alignment and I verify this truth with my body. Then I propel. This is where the action comes. Today, I take a step by blank. And you express that through the action. This is what allows us to now live as our sovereign self. And as a sovereign individual, living in your sovereign life, the throne, which is within, you're now sitting on that throne. That means you are defining yourself. Self-definition, because who better than to define you than you? Before now, everybody else defined us. They told us who we were or who we were not, what we could do and what we could not, what we should not. And when we actually sit down and reflect, we don't like that. We don't like being told what to do by other people. We don't like being limited and told what we cannot do and what we should not do. You don't like having your ideas, when you express them, shot down. There's a saying, probably gonna butcher it, but it's something like, if you visit the graveyard, there's a bunch of ideas that never came to life. People died with their ideas, never fulfilling that. The graveyard is where dreams go to die. And it's due to our external need, listening, being not within ourselves, outside of ourselves, letting somebody tell us who we are instead of us defining, no, this is who I am. This is what I am. This is my life. So we pull out our journals and we are going to begin to write a few prompts to ourselves. And that first journal prompt that we are self-defining, that allows us to self-define, is, where have I been fertile soil for growth? Where have I been fertile soil for growth? And if you have been fertile soil for growth for fear, then that's what you write. Remember, this is not where we lie to ourselves. This is where we bring truth to light so that we can live our renewed life, sitting on the throne as we are meant to be. Where have I been fertile soil for growth? And also, Where have I been hardened where I may have not allowed things to grow? Maybe I have been hardened in fear, hardened in uncertainty, hardened in doubt, which meant that I was fertile soil for growth of things that weren't meant for me. The weeds. What can I do with that? And lastly, what does being sovereign soil mean to me? This isn't about them. It's about us. This isn't about me. It's about you. I can't tell you what it means. You define that. That's why it is self-definition. So what does sovereign soil mean to me? Yet to assist you, we're going to talk about barriers, soil, and antidotes. And so when you're in this journal prompt and you're thinking of what a possible barrier is, the first one is overthinking. And just like the parable of the sower, the soil for overthinking is stony ground. The antidote is here in our mind because this is where we overthink. And so we must begin to tell ourselves, I till rocks into sacred soil. Because if we're on stony ground, I till those rocks into sacred soil. I'm breaking that ground. Whether we believe it or not, when we look outside and we see all of the concrete that is now around us, and I live in the great state of Texas now, and it is so much concrete around here. I'm seeing less and less natural trees. It's like a concrete jungle. Under that concrete is actual soil. We just don't see it. So we're breaking that stony ground up. We're going to till those rocks into sacred soil that we need, which means that overthinking we must start to do. Because if I'm overthinking, I'm not acting. I'm just sitting here overthinking. I hope that's not going to work. And that's, I hope, and did I do too much? And we're now pushing past that limit. Not the fact that thinking is wrong. You're doing too much of it. Overthinking. We're past the limit. That is now your boundary. Once I do something, boom, I'm not even worried about it. I'm not thinking about it. I got to keep going. This is how I begin to break those rocks into sacred soil. I talked about hustling, the hustle culture that we lived in, and how I was hustling every single day, but I wasn't resting. That leads to burnout. So the barrier that we're facing is burnout. Doing so much, it's hard to sustain, and I just don't have the energy anymore. I'm seeing so many people now, talking to different people, and this is one of the main things that's coming up. Like, I don't know how I can keep going. You pull up to the job and you gotta pray for the strength to go in there. What hurts me is sometimes I'm seeing where there's only one person in there doing the job. Seeing videos where you got one person working in a Burger King, one person working in a McDonald's, one person working 12-hour shifts over and over and over again. Sadly, what we begin to see is people passing away. They went to work, went home, didn't wake up, burning ourselves out. Thorny ground. This is the body. So the antidote is our body. And we have to uproot those hustle thorns. We got to stop. Have we ever thought about why am I hustling so much? As a matter of fact, if I am hustling, when do I rest? If you burn out, what does that actually mean? If a candle burns out, it's gone. The fire burns out, it's gone. So we are now admitting that we are gone. We don't have no more energy. We are lifeless where we should be full of life. And we have to uproot ourselves from that. Because if everything is already provided, what are you hustling for? Something else. And this is our justification. I gotta do it for all of this. Where? It never tells us you're supposed to struggle for anything. And normally when we have this burnout, when we have hustle, we're hustling in somebody else's job, bringing someone else's dream to life. So it depends on us. All these corporations depend on you to hustle every day. Because if you stop, they gonna crumble. And your fear is that I won't have the money to provide when. You weren't born hustling. That turns on at a certain time. This is something that is ingrained into us. It's put into us, this idea. Because if it was true, then everybody would be doing it. But you know who ain't doing it? The CEO at the top of that corporation, who were complaining about how they get to travel the world and spend all this money. So what does their hustle look like then? Why they're not burnt out? Because you're hustling for them. It's their dream that you brought to life, that your hard work, that your energy continues to go into. That's thorny ground. That's fear. You hustling every day because you are fearful. I was hustling every day because I was fearful. How am I going to make it to the next day? Not recognizing that my hustle and not resting is what made it difficult to make it to the next day. Admitting that I ain't even get enough sleep, yet I got to get up and this is what I'm supposed to do because this is what I saw my parents do. This is what I saw the generation before me do. This is what I was told that I must do as a man. Who am I learning from? Who am I looking up to? Because that's not life. That's the lie that they told us. Yet now the lie for us is that we can live inspired every day. And how we do this is we begin to break that stony ground to till those rocks in the sacred soil so we're not overthinking no more. Overthinking, constantly thinking about the next bill, the next bill, the next bill, not realizing, man, I paid on the bill. Not realizing, how did I get to this point anyway? We're uprooting the hustle thorns that cause us to hustle, 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 and never rest. We're not championing that anymore. Every day I'm hustling. No, I'd rather you every day you resting. Like the CEO who's spending all this money, traveling the world, doing everything that they want to do. Why can you not live like that? You really think that it was prescribed for you to suffer? Who told you that? Where did you validate that within yourself? Because 9 times out of 10, somebody is telling us these things, or we are seeing them. I saw my parents work this hard, and I was told as a man, you got to work. I was told that make other people happy, and I'm just supposed to be miserable. This is what I was told. This is what I was sold on. And you look around and you're like, well, why am I supposed to be miserable? Why does my life have to be like this? And you having fun over there? What's the difference between me and you? Skin color? Your sexual orientation? Your religion? Where you were born? Because you tall and I'm short? Don't make sense. So we need to get rid of that. And then external validation. One of the biggest ones in this day and age. Matter of fact, it's always been there. It's just in this day and age, we got social media and we can see it. But you was externally validating in 1900 when you thought you had to put on airs for somebody else. When you was keeping up with the Joneses. Now we just see it. Before you probably could hide in your house and your neighbors would never see. Now we seeing it on social media. We're seeing the world externally validating themselves. There is a video of a kid on a boat. It went viral. This kid on a boat. He looked so fun on the boat. I saw this kid now. They basically like farming him. He's doing videos and he's just like, he doesn't even care. He's like externally validating for others. They're putting on a show for others because if I feel validated by the people outside of myself, then that means I'm good. I'm doing something great. That's the false. That's the fake. That is the wayside path where we are dropping our seeds to the wayside and somebody else is picking them up. We're performing, not directing and producing. We're performing. And the moment that you begin to say, no, I'm not doing that, that's when they're going to come out and say, oh, who are you? Oh, you're being selfish. Oh, because you're no longer feeding them. Because you're no longer letting them take from you. Of course, you're being selfish. Why are we allowing other people to consume us and our lives so that we are miserable? And then the moment we are happy, you're wrong for that. Whose life are you here to live, if not your own? You cannot live your mother's life, your father's life, your brother's life, your sister. You can't even live your spouse's life. Y'all join together and y'all create a life, but you still got to go and do what you do. When you leave the house, you only see from your perspective. They can't see what you're doing. They don't even know what you're thinking, and you don't know what they're thinking. So why are we worried about what they're thinking? Why are we worried about externally validating ourselves for people who can't internally validate themselves? Why are we performing? Whose line is it anyway? Whose life is it anyway? It's mine, mine. And they say you have one life to live. So why would I spend it overthinking, burning myself out, and trying to externally validate myself? Why do I want to be on stony ground, thorny ground, taking the wayside path when I can be on good fertile ground and produce and bear fruit? And what do I then do with that fruit that I bear? But if I can't even bear fruit, I ain't got nothing to provide for nobody anyway. So when we're seeing these videos of these people who are working themselves literally to death, they can no longer provide. That's not what we're here for. That's not the story that we want to tell. That's not what we want to teach the next generation. That's not even what we want for ourselves. So why would I even pass that on to my children? Why would I pass that on to the next generation? Why would I allow that story to be written about my life so that somebody else can say, oh, yep, see, this is what you're supposed to do? And we're told against that. It tells us other fell into good ground and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold, which is saying that, hey, you might do 100, you might do 60, you might do 30, but you all bearing fruit when you're on good ground. So who hath ears to hear, let them hear. Well, we closing our ears like this. We don't sit and be still. We ain't listening. We ain't nurturing. So therefore, we are not living. And we are here to live inspired every day forever. Because that's life. This is what we are talking about. The sovereign soil, our renewed life. When we said the first or the final step, getting rid of that old life now is the first truth in our renewed life. That's who we were. We were scattered. We not no more. We were fractured. We not no more. We were all over the place. We not no more. We are in place now. We used to be in conflict, in fight with our mind, body, and our soul, our spirit. But now we're not. We don't fight. We flying. We're integrated. We are one. Now we are aligned. And so ridding ourselves of that external validation, getting off the wayside path for our spirit, we say, I fence my sanctuary. Meaning I establish those boundaries for my life. And I'm not going outside of that. Because I know what happens when I go outside of that. I've been outside of that. I'm pushed past the limits and overextending myself, and I ain't doing that. Sorry for you. And as we begin to do that, we begin to walk that aligned path. We begin to walk that aligned path, not a lie, but aligned. So this is where we come to the Q&A, where you're going to ask these questions. We're always journaling. We're always asking so that we can receive. Ask and ye shall receive. What are we asking? We are wanting to know where in your life are seeds falling by the wayside. And you can feel free to share this in the comments. You can share it in the DMs. You can share it with us, but we mainly want you to share it with yourself. To sit and ask yourself, where in my life are seeds falling by the wayside? Where have I ignored my intuition? What thorns are choking your fertile ground? What inner seeds are finally starting to grow roots this month? As we are closing out this month, you can actually reflect and see which inner seeds are finally starting to grow roots. I'm finally starting to see myself. I'm finally starting to recognize those places where I was overthinking. I was hustling too much. I was performing. I was looking for external validation. I was fearful. I was uncertain, and I doubted myself. Now I finally see where I don't doubt myself, where I'm not being fearful. And I took action on some of those things that I said I was going to do, where I'm beginning to believe where I had disbelief, where I feel ease where I had dis-ease. There is peace where there was war or conflict before. And lastly, how are you preparing your soil for what's next, for the next harvest? Again, Igbo told us that those who do not, a farmer who tills not his soil blames the seed. So are you not going to till your soil? Are you not going to prepare for the harvest and then blame the seed? Blame everybody else for why you don't have? Trust me, there's plenty of blame to go around. I could blame the past for my present state and why I have no future, but that means I just gave up because my ancestors didn't do that. I'm only here because of what they did, not what they did not do. So how can I look back and say, this thing is holding me back? It didn't hold them back. And times were more tumultuous. They actually had physical barriers that were stopping them. And yet I'm looking back into the past, not being able to move past. So presently I'm stuck. So my future, really, I can't see it. It don't exist. It's time to prepare our soil for what's next. It's harvesting time. So now, cool. What do I need to do in my life? And so in closing, you are the sovereign soil. You are not a scattered seed. You are sovereign soil, chosen, tilled, and holy. Bear fruit 100-fold. Quick tip, as you're going to do this, because now you are sovereign soil, you know this. So this quick tip is to remind you, to help us remember, to recall. So at the end of the day, at the end of your day, ask, what thoughts have guided me? What did my body communicate today? Was I anxious? Was I at peace? Was I fearful? What energy shaped my actions? Reflect, realign, and repeat. Wash, rinse, and repeat. And so in closing, I want to remind you that we often complete a journey and then we look for what's next. We do something, we're like, all right, so what's next? What we got next? You have now, you have the present. Because when we do that, we're overlooking the moment of integration where we just arrived. You ask, are we there yet? Then you arrive and you're not even present in the moment. So anxious to get there, then once you get there, you're like, all right, so where are we going next? No more overlooking the moment. We are integrating into the moment. You're arrived. You're here. You are sovereign soul now. No more looking back and we're trying to look forward. We're here now. And this is your harvest season. This is your harvest season, not the end, the beginning. The integration of every aligned choice, every sacred pause, every bold boundary, and every soft surrender that you did every day, every week, every month, every year, now and forever, so that you can live inspired every day, forever, because that's life. And when we are inspired, we never stop prospering. It requires effort daily. This is how we get to life. We're not going to blame the seed. We're going to till the soil until we bear